You're listening to the Player Issue Podcast. Here's your host, Aaron Warwick.
Hello, and welcome back for episode 23 of the Player Issue Podcast. Fantastic number coming off Rob Lee's episode 22. If you've listened to that one, what a great episode it was. Number 23 being super significant today, actually. Obviously, Michael Jordan was a very high subject in the Rob Lee interview. So episode 23, here we are. I'm excited. Hope you all are too. It's been a very, very eventful last 4 weeks it's been now since the last episode. And we've gone through quite a bit, actually. So hopefully you all tuned in to the live auction that we did, myself and Josh, and of course Emma, the lovely Emma, joined us as well to help show everybody the items. Hopefully you were able to join in on that and you were able to stick in with us, as it did start a little bit late. Reason for that being that we did have one camera that we were going to use the whole time. However, Josh decided he wanted to use a second camera so you guys could watch us the whole time, which I don't know why you'd want to watch us as well, but it didn't quite work out anyway, because the GoPro decided it wanted to crash out within about 30 minutes, maybe not even that, of the episode starting, of the auction starting. So it wasn't a great idea. So we started half an hour late and ended up dying anyway. And it was quite out of sync as well. So it really was a bit of a cluster all around. But like we said, it was the very first one that we've ever done. So there's going to be some teething issues, and there was a couple, but I think it went quite well overall. And I think, definitely know that the money that we raised for some of the charitable auctions that we did was certainly a massive success. So myself, I was kind of thinking, how's it going to go? We're going to make any money out of this? So is it going to be a one-hit wonder? Not even one-hit wonder. Is it just going to just flop, really, is what I was worried about. But definitely not worried about that, because we ended up raising over about it was about $7,100 we ended up raising on the night. Not all for charitable, but that's not a problem. So everyone who wants to perhaps sell something in the future, you're not locked in on the idea of having to sell something for a charitable donation at all. If you'd like to sell something for your own personal gain, that's no problem whatsoever. So we did raise, I think it was about $1,700 for Ash B's cancer treatment, which is amazing. Everyone did absolutely amazing. Watching some of those items go just absolutely bananas was fantastic to watch. As I did mention, it went for a very long time as well. So I think I budgeted for around about 2 hours, thinking, if I go about 5 minutes per item, then we'll be finishing at around about 2 hours. So I think that was probably where I was aiming. I was like, I think everyone will be pretty happy with that. The only thing is, when I looked at the clock, we're about 2 hours in, and I think we'd only done about 5 items. So, and there was 25 items to do on the night. So I was a bit worried at that point. There was a couple of comments made that if we wanted to keep people interested, that we needed to move it along, or a couple of people throwing out comments saying, let's go, move along. But obviously, again, teething issues, we'll definitely work on those. But I think it actually worked quite well, and suggested that it definitely worked quite well. The fact that we had 100 people watching from the very beginning, which I was very excited about, because I did not expect to get that amount of people watching at all over the whole night. But we ended up dropping to about 80 to 90 until the very last item. So 3.5 hours into the show, into the live auction, we still had 80 to 90 people watching consistently throughout the whole thing. So I don't know why the people were sticking around that long on a Saturday night. I guess everyone didn't have anything to do. People were on lockdown. We were on lockdown here in WA for the first time, where we weren't allowed to leave at all. I'm sure you Victorians and others know a lot about that. So I believe some of you weren't allowed to leave your house either. So it worked out very well for everybody, because we managed to raise a lot of money. So again, well done to everybody that did donate items. Just watching some of them just go absolutely mental was an absolute sight to behold. So yeah, congratulations. And congratulations to the winners, of course. And everyone was absolutely tremendous. There was a lot of people on there that I'd never seen before, never dealt with, and there were a lot of bidders who, the same thing, I'd never had any dealings with before, but it was unbelievable to watch, and people were really enjoying it. We really enjoyed doing it, and I think the unanimous decision is that we're definitely going to be doing it again. which I'm really excited about. And if you tune in, it'll be today actually. So once this comes out, it's currently 11:35 p.m. on Friday night. However, once I've finished all this and get it out on the waves, it will be Saturday. So if you're listening in this afternoon at 5 p.m. Eastern, we're going to do the live draw for the Vintage Football Jumper Company Carlton Blues jumper that you guys had to do a couple of little things for to win the jumper. So there's 19 entries. There was a lot of people who did put their names down. I think there was quite a few people who actually did follow some of the steps, but they didn't follow all the steps. So only 19 people actually followed all of the steps, so they've got their names on that wheel. So 5 p.m. tomorrow, we will be drawing that, and immediately following that, we will be doing another live auction. However, it will only be for one item. So that's 5 p.m. on Saturday the 6th of March. We'll be doing that, 5 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. West Australian. So we're doing a one-item auction, and that's because, unfortunately, one of the winning bidders did not pay for their item. They continued to put off paying for it, excuse after excuse, but whatever, we'll move on from that and we'll have another crack at it. We'll see how we go. Hopefully we get a little bit more money for Ash. This one's all 100% going to Ash B as well. So if you guys want to jump on that, 5 p.m. Eastern, just watch out on the Player Issue Podcast Facebook page. It will be on there. And immediately, well, not immediately following, actually during the auction, so hopefully while we have lots of bids going on, we'll have another major announcement in regards to potentially another live auction. So make sure we're keeping an ear out for that.
I'm Luke Ryan from the Fremantle Dockers. You're listening to the Player Issue Podcast.
Thank you, Luke. Interesting. They managed to get Luke to do that, and I now see why he potentially doesn't do too many after-game interviews or post-game interviews, because that was actually the second take that he actually sent me through as well. The first one, he sent me through a video with him and Brennan Cox driving to the preseason scratch match, I believe, last weekend in the car on the way, as you can probably tell with a bit of background noise there. And the video was hilarious. If I can figure out how to get it off Instagram Messenger, then I will let you know and I'll show you. But Luke's an absolute champion of blokes, so I really appreciate you doing that for me, Luke. You're a legend. I have asked other people, potential players, if they could do that for me, and they've turned me down. So the fact that Luke was more than happy and more than willing to do it for me was really good of him. It just shows the kind of character he is. He didn't want any money. I offered him money and he said, no, we'll just do it for you, no problem. So thank you, Luke. You're a champion of a bloke and we really appreciate you. So let's move on now. We'll get into the interview. So it's going to be a rather interesting interview today. I don't know. I've probably said that every single episode, but I don't know. I do go back and listen occasionally, but I listen to the editing process and kind of tune out a little bit while it's happening. So I'll as soon as I hear an error or something I need to edit out, I'm wide awake, but I kind of do tune out to actually what is being said during the editing process. So often I don't actually know what's being talked about. So I had a real good listen to this one. I was actually really excited because this one was actually recorded before the Rob Lee interview was recorded. It was during our lockdown as well. We were a little bit bored, and we were talking about doing this episode for a while, where we did obviously have the Fremantle Dockers end of season sale in November, and we wanted to get as much insight from different people as we could. I was originally going to do individual interviews, but I thought, well, let's get everyone together. We're in lockdown. Let's get everyone together and let's just do it all in one and see how that turns out. So I think it actually turned out pretty good. So I enjoyed listening to it. So hopefully you guys enjoy listening back to it. It may turn you off that it's another Freo episode, but don't let it, because it does translate to other clubs as well. Not just the Freo content, but all the content that we do talk about certainly does translate to other clubs. So it is a really good listen. There's a lot of good stuff in here. So enjoy the listen. Give us your thoughts. Make sure you jump on to whatever platform that you listen to. Give us a rate and review. Give us a subscribe, so that way you're getting the episodes as soon as they come up. You don't have to wait for me to post them up on the Facebook page so you know when it comes out. If you give it a subscribe on whatever you listen to, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, whatever, you'll be notified and it will download for you automatically as well, so you know that it's ready to go for the next episode. So anyway, let us know your thoughts on the episode whenever you've had a listen, and make sure you come back at 5 p.m. Eastern today as we draw off another live auction for Ashby. So thank you guys and enjoy your listen, and we'll see you after the interview for the close. All right, lads, so we've got an absolute chaotic one here today. Well, actually, it wasn't even going to be completely worse than that a minute ago until I figured out that I couldn't actually plug in the extra pair of headphones into this machine that I've called so great so far. But I do need another adapter. So we were going to have 5, and it was going to be Emma joining us because she was actually with us on the day. However, she's taken a back seat and she's gone to watch some bloody reality TV show. I don't know what it is, but so she's not joining us at the moment. But we do have 4 lads here, including myself. So we've got Clint Johnson. Say good day, Clint.
Hey, mate. How are we? How are we, lads?
I'm very good. So we also got Dylan McArdle
here.
G'day, guys. How you going?
Beautiful. And Jack, let's just say Jack Gregory, as he's known on Facebook, shall we?
Go with the Facebook alias. Yeah, g'day, Aaron. How are you?
I'm very, very good. So as I mentioned, there's 4 of us, so it will be chaos. So we'll probably be talking over each other a little bit. So is what it is. The first time we've ever done it. And Clint hooked us up with Google, Google Meets. So it's a first time for everything. Thumbs up. And yeah, I'm kind of learning this myself on the go. So we'll just jump into it. Basically, what we're doing right now is we're talking about the Fremantle Dockers end of season sale, which was in September, if I remember correctly. I've actually forgotten now. Everyone else does too. Puzzled looks on their faces. No.
It was November after the grand final.
No. Yes. Okay. Yes. It was mid-November. So a little while now. Where are we? February. So only 3 months. So it's not that far removed. But we've been able to get ourselves all together now. Obviously, we're in lockdown over here in WA at the moment. So we're a little bit bored, but it is still 20 past 8 at night. So all day to do things, but here we are at 20 past 8 at night doing it now. So we're here to talk about what happened during the day and what our experiences were and just share with you guys exactly what we got up to. So we'll start it off. It was an early morning. Clint, what time did you rock up?
I think I was there just after 6, second in line.
At 6 a.m., by the way.
Yeah, 6 a.m. It was just after 6, between 6 and 6:30. What's crazy
is I think you asked me what time I was getting there, and I said, probably about 6:30ish. And I thought, we'll be here way earlier than anybody else. We're not going to have any problems with anyone else beating us. But I was beaten as well. And the doors were still locked when I got there, so I was pretty pissed off because I couldn't get in the doors. I had to wait for someone else to come and let me in. But even I was still sitting there worried, thinking that people were still beating me in, even though there was no other way in the door, so I don't know what I was so worried about. But yeah, so I rocked up. I think I was third. And now that was 6:30 in the morning. So these sales are certainly catching fire. Because you were there pretty damn early and you beat me. So, Dylan, what about yourself? What time did you get there, man?
I think it was just after 8.
Just after 8.
And I think I suppose the year before when they first did it, I think when I got there at 8, there was about 4 or 5 of us. I mean, you were there already, but there wasn't that many people. Yeah. I think lining up, just before 9, there was about a dozen of us.
Yeah,
so it had changed.
I think I rocked up about 7:30 last year, and I was there. I think I was there second last year. There was a lady and a gentleman there before me that only just got there for me, apparently, but they even thought I was before them somehow. So I ended up getting in before them, but they ran ahead of me still somehow. But whatever. But yeah, so it definitely did change this year. Obviously, with COVID, everyone was a bit more excited about sales and picking up some jumpers for cheap or whatever the case. But Jack, you rocked in at some point and looking far worse for the wear. I expected you to be there with all of us at 6:30, but the look on your face, I'm surprised you even got out of bed, to be honest.
Oh, look, I was there in physical form, but I don't know if I was really there in spirit. I think I was still out somewhere in Northbridge. But no, I came in a little worse for wear, let everyone know about it. I think I drank 4 or 5 bottles of water, but I think I was there I was there shortly after you. I reckon I was next in line. I'd been out the night before. I'd had a big away party. I'd finished a job. I'd been working there for 5 years. And at a certain point, it got put in my head that I needed to pick up a fife. So then it meant that I had to, be one of the first in line to get a fife. And it was a bit of a dusty morning, but it was a good day.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And you're right. We'll get to the fifes in a moment, but good Lord, I seen you walk in and I thought, geez, I know the look on that face because I've seen him on Facebook, but Oh, that looked like a ghost to me when you walked in the door. And I think it was a Qantas hat, was it not?
Ansett Australia, I believe.
Yeah, that's right, yeah. So everyone's rocking up wearing their best Freo gear or the best going out wear, and here's him rocking in with his Ansett Australia hat. And I thought that was just really typical of how he looked.
Yeah, just a defunct airline. Yeah.
So Clint, everyone knows you from episode 3, I believe. And 5, okay. Sorry, that was Lynchy. Episode 5. So, and they would all remember the fact that you're a GWS supporter and a big one, and those of us looking at the video right now, which everyone else isn't, but me and Dylan and Jack are, can see that you are a defunct GWS supporter without any shadow of a doubt. Now, what the hell were you doing at a Freo sale at 6:30 in the morning before everyone else?
Curiosity, mate. I had to be there. I had to see what it was all about. It was, I think it was just the excitement of being able to go to one of those live sales. Obviously, I don't get to do it with the Giants. They don't do them, and I live on the other side of the country. So second best option was to attend a Freo one and get around it and see what it was about. And just an eye-opening experience for me. It was fantastic. Seeing a few diehards get there at 6 in the morning and a couple rock in at 7 with extreme hangovers, it was good. It was, to see the collector passion kick in, and all these fans that just want to get hold of player issue jumpers prepared to line up for a few hours to get in the door and get a good deal.
Mm. When you say curiosity, usually that means, I'll rock up at some point and I'll jump in the line, or I'll rock up once it's all open. But to be there at 6:30, you had to have a reason to be there at that time. Did you have some sort of strategic effort or reason to be there that early?
I won't lie. I grabbed myself a couple of jumpers, but that wasn't the reason I jumped in the line. It was I just wanted to get a part of the whole thing. It benefited some certain host of a podcast, so that I was there early. I think it benefited a few other people that I was there early as well. I think Dill grabbed something off me too that I managed to wrangle quite early in the morning. So there was a few people that were quite thankful that I was in the line. But, yeah, I didn't go after the big ticket items like the fifes and whatnot. I left that to the real fans. But, yeah, went after a few other, smaller big pieces. So
I know myself, I had quite a lot of people messaging me they were all messaging me. They were telling me that they were after certain pieces, I probably had about 50 messages, I think, from people wanting me to grab them stuff. I know, Clint, you definitely had some. Dylan and Jack, Did you by any chance get anyone messaging you, asking you to pick them up stuff?
I did the opposite, actually. There was a guy I've spoken to a couple of times on Twitter that's quite obsessed with the spleen rupturer. So I managed to get him a I messaged him, said, there's one there. Do you want one? It's $50-$60, and I did that for him. So he was pretty stoked.
And for those who don't know who the spleen rupture is, do you want to elaborate on that?
You've drawn a blank now, haven't you? Number 12.
Mitch Crowden.
Yes. It's cricket season. I've forgotten all the players now.
It's off season, mate. We'll let you live.
Yeah. I kept thinking, that was one of the things at the sale. I kept thinking of the player numbers and all the previous players and forgetting who currently wore those numbers. Yeah. Because number 12 was Jonathan Griffin.
Mm. You're not wrong. And that is something that you go in thinking, all right, cool, I'm pretty across the numbers. But when you're actually standing in front of them, sometimes you could just draw a blank and you've got to pull out your phone and go, oh, shit, who was it? And then it looks like you're just there to pick up and sell, but you're just drawing a blank and you're even trying to remember who wore it previously or whatever. But you're not wrong. Jack, sorry, what about yourself? Anyone messaged you and asked you to pick up stuff for them?
Oh, mate, the only person that messaged me was actually after the event. And they messaged to say, oh, did you manage to get anything? Could I pick it up off you? So I wasn't really looking out. And it's probably good for people that I wasn't looking out for any of their stuff because I was having a hard enough time with my own. No one really hit me up before the event. So, no.
Yeah, lucky you guys. But I know Clint went in doing the good deed thing and he picked up a couple from a couple of blokes that were after stuff. So good job, Clint. And we'll get to what I managed to snag off him a little bit later, but I have talked about it previously. But anyway, there is always a strategy going into these things. So, Dylan, what was your strategy going into the day? Did you write something down? Did you go in with an idea in your head, or do you write it on in your phone and in your notes of what exactly you're going to chase that day, or is it just all hell for leather, go for it?
Well, it was one of every design. That was the key. But I think in my weakness, I didn't actually write down which players I'd really like. So I think I was happy with what I got, but I probably could have done it better, for sure. Yeah, I think that's what I should have done. The players, so the guys, sort of first, second year players, those kind of guys I didn't have in the collection, I reckon I should have written a list of which numbers, which players, and then gone for them first. Because I think while I got one of every design, and mainly thanks to Clint for getting the one that I was too slow to get, the white indigenous, that was probably my weakness.
Yep. Jack, what about yourself, man? Did you go in with any sort of plan, or did you just try and keep your head above water at the time?
I had a list actually in my phone for weeks, and then the moment I got in that room, it just all sort of went out the window. Basically, and it was only the night before that someone had asked me what I was doing the next morning. I said I was going to this jumper thing, and they said, as a casual footy fan does, do you have a fife? And I said no. And they said, well, what's the point then? And I sort of went, well, maybe I should try and get a fife. So I walked into the room and just looked around for the first fife I could see, picked that up. And then from there, it was just a case of I had numbers, I had ideas of players that I really wanted to add to the collection. There was a few surprises on the day, which were really good. But yeah, I did have a bit of a strategy. All went out the window the moment the doors opened though.
Not wrong. And Clint, so yourself not being a Freo collector, or you're there to pick up for other people, or just wanted to have a good look, was there a strategy for you? Was it just to hang back and see what was going on, or was it to pick up stuff for other people and then just work it out from there, or what was it go for you?
I actually had a strategy.
That's surprising.
I had a bit of a plan. So obviously I knew what I had to do for a few other people and what they were wanting. So I kind of beelined it, knowing where the other top, 4 guys standing around me were going to head. I knew they were all heading towards that 5 locker, so I kind of beelined it to the middle locker. We had all the other high-end jumpers sitting there, and started going through with them before everybody realised what I was doing. So I got a good look at quite a few things sitting in there. I mean, I didn't go crazy with it. I just, left it there for a few big ones there for the right collectors to get hold of. But there was a few I grabbed out of there for certain other people, and help them get things into their collections. But that was about it for me. After that, it was pretty much just stand around and start watching a few chooks without heads run around, try to get what they were after. Well, I was just standing there going, I'm just going to watch this now. It was quite entertaining. I'm about to take over the host of this show now and say, Aaron, tell me what your plan was for the day walking in the door.
Well, thanks for asking, Clint.
Grab everything, wasn't it?
Actually, to begin with, yes, that was the plan. But then I thought, Jesus, last year I spent, I think it was $5,500. And I thought, if I go in and just grab everything, I'm going to be in a lot of trouble. So I did go in with a plan. I also went in with a plan not to spend too much money. I think originally, I told you deal was around about $2,500. And then that pushed out real quick to about 3 and then 3.5. By the end of it, I'll tell you at the end, but by the end of that, it blew out far beyond all expectations. But so originally, my plan started off to just grab everything, but I thought, I'm going to be in trouble, so I had to write down everything. And luckily, I did. There you go, you can see it. I still have the list that I sent through of everything I was going to go through. So basically, I put in order of all the numbers that I wanted to get. So obviously, Fife, Mundy, Ryan, Sarong, Henry, all at the top, all the way down to the least amount of chasing that I'll do. And then, of course, I had the Clash Indigenous, the home, the away Starlights, and my preferential choices of what numbers I was going to go for. So basically, that was where I headed first. However, like Jack said, once you walked in that door, everything just went completely out the window, and basically any sort of planning you had was just null and void, because it was just, all right, see something, grab something. And I kind of did what Clint did. So basically what I would do the year before, I would chase up my good mate from the club and say, hey, man, any chance I can get a picture of the room? And I would plan my attack from there. This year I didn't get that. He said he would send me one, but unfortunately I think he was a bit busy on the day, so I didn't get a photo. But he did say, look, the middle and the rack in the middle is where you want to head. So I did get a bit of a heads up there. So yeah, so first thing we did was run straight for that middle rack. And then when I was meant to be recording the audio literally from the beginning because I had a lapel mic on all day. I was meant to be recording from when I was standing in line talking to you lads, which is absolute gold, and I really, really wish it didn't get destroyed now. But I was standing there, and then as soon as I went in, it was supposed to be just telling everyone the steps of exactly what I was doing the whole time. But as soon as I walked in that door, I didn't speak. And it was about 8.5 minutes, and I realized, I haven't said a word because I just got so focused on what I was doing. There was just no way I could do it. Because, I guess if I was there for someone else's sale or something, I might have been able to do it. But when it comes to wanting to get everything and spend all that money on these jumpers, I just lost myself completely. And at that point, when I was looking at that rack, I managed to go to the right rack to begin with, by the way, because I managed to pick up every sarong that was at the sale pretty much. So I definitely won the right rack. And it was also the Mundy and Ryan rack, so I picked up all theirs as well, so I was stoked with that. But as we were standing there, we got yelled at. I'm not sure who it was. It might have been Tony Godden, actually, ex-West Coast and Freo player. He yelled out that all the Fife jumpers are on the lockers, none in the racks. And I thought, oh, crap. I'm going to miss out. I've got a choice to make here. I can either stay in this rack, and I'm going to miss out on a Fife, or potentially there might be one in here that they've left, or I'm going to have to leave my post and go and grab one from the locker. So I made a real late decision. I ran over there and I grabbed literally the last jumper was up on the locker. So really glad I did because there was no others, like they said. So yeah, stoked that I managed to get one. Dylan, did you end up getting a Fife at all?
I didn't know, but I wasn't that fast because I've got a couple of Fifes in the collection already. I think one was probably thanks to you. So it wasn't a big deal that I didn't get one.
So did you hear that announcement as well? Did you just decide, I'm just going to let it go?
I didn't hear the announcement, no. And I think one of the things I did wrong was instead of going to the rack in the middle with the Indigenous jumpers, I went to the left and ended up looking through the cheap jumpers first, which was a real rookie mistake.
Yeah, so even when I got in there, I thought, this could be chaos. I could go the wrong way here and end up with some stuff that I've missed out on, some great stuff. So I'm really, really glad that I just went straight for that on middle rack. But so Jack, you went for a Fife as well. Did you hear that announcement and go straight to it, or did you just notice that they were all on the rack already?
I think I was seeing the room very differently to everyone else that was walking in.
It wasn't spinning, was it?
I just had an epiphany. No, So I walked in and immediately looked to my left above the number 7 locker, and it was there. And I just sort of wandered over, grabbed it, and was content for the rest of the time that I was there that I'd sort of got what I set out to do. So the Fife that I picked up was the away Indigenous match-worn Fife. I photo matched it. It's got stains on the back, but I photo matched it to a photo of him walking out of the race. So I'm pretty sure he would have won it in the first half. I'm very happy with the pickup. But yeah, no, I just saw it and just beeline for it, really. So,
yeah, to be honest, I think you probably won the best Fife on the day. So I think you did very, very well there.
Yeah, I was thinking that as well when I saw Jack walk around. I was thinking, geez, for the hangover bloke that was probably 5th or 6th in line, he's nailed the best one out of a lot of them. So I was pretty stoked for him, really. I was sitting there going, wow, how did Jack get that when you got, the likes of Anton and there's the other young bloke he'd been there before me, and they were the first two through the door. And I'm thinking, Jack's walked away with the best Fife with a lot of them, and the other two have only got, I think they went up with a home version.
You guys have no idea how satisfying it was to go to that work group chat and let them know that I picked up the best one there.
I think I remember at one point when I'd finally calmed down and I'd managed to grab a ridiculous amount of jumpers off the rack and hand them over to Emma, who was doing all the hard work. And I walked over to you guys who were standing in a group and thought, just have a chat and see what's going on here. And I think I'd said to you, Jack, I said, managed to pick up anything good? And then you pulled out this white Indigenous Fife and just give me a big old grin. I was like, you bastard, that's a great pickup.
Yeah, very happy. Very happy.
You did very, very well for sure. So I also had a bit of help. So I did ask for my nephew to come along and help me as well, because I knew the fact that I was going to get a lot of jumpers. When I try and stick them over my arms, they get rather heavy. But thankfully Emma came along, who she was supposed to be helping me pick out some stuff as well. But she actually hurt her back that day, and so she couldn't do any heavy lifting. So I basically shoved her in the corner and said, here, sit here. I'm going to bring stuff over to you, put them in a pile and keep them safe for me. So she did that all day. She did a great job of it, although she did pick the wrong spot to sit because she sat in front of the fife locker again, and that's just the worst place in the world to sit because everyone wants to come and have a look at it. And it was where the line joins in, so everyone's there having a chat with you. Lads, did you see anybody there who maybe surprised you, obviously being around, for instance, or did you just people watch? I know I did quite a lot. I just thought, I know what I'm here for, but I wonder what everyone else is here for. I just had a look around the room, just maybe had a look and thought, I'm really surprised this guy's here, or that guy's picked up something really great. Did you see anything like that?
I guess you see the same familiar faces. There's probably a lot of people, I see the faces but don't know the names. I do find it interesting when people manage to pick exactly what they wanted, which is always, I guess it's a bit like being a kid in the candy store, I suppose. So that's always pleasing to see that everybody comes out with what they wanted. That's always nice, I suppose. You see some people who just bought the one or the two jumpers and they just got what they wanted, and yeah, that's all sweet.
Yeah, I did a lot of people watching after probably that first initial 5-10 minutes of chaos. I was pretty much done after that. So for the next 5.5 hours that I think I was there for, it was me just kind of sitting back and watching people go to town. It was very interesting, the few techniques that were in place and what people were chasing, and having a chat to a few collectors that I'd spoken to in the line, and to see, where they were at and had they got what they wanted and all that sort of jazz. Met a few dedicated Player Issue podcast listeners that thought I was Aaron, which was nice. So
that's funny because last year everyone thought I was a chick, so there you go.
Yeah, there was a bit of autograph time for me, a few photo opportunities. Everyone thought I was Aaron. It was great.
He was wearing GWS shorts as well, were you not, on the day?
Yeah.
I don't think I would have rocked up wearing a GWS shorts and hat on the day. So.
But anyway, a few people thought I was you, which was a bit funny. I was like, yeah, okay, I'll take it. But yeah, no, it was good to, as I say, put a few names to faces as well of other WA collectors that I'd spoken to previously, here, there, and everywhere, and just have a chat to them about, what they thought of the day and how it was run, and did they get what they were looking for, and most people pretty much walked out relatively satisfied with the jumpers they were able to grab.
Jack, what about yourself, Ben?
Yeah, so I saw Craig Callahan. I think you pointed him out to me, so that was kind of cool. But in terms of people watching, yeah, look, I went to the 2018 sale, and at that time I wasn't fully into the collecting thing. So I saw a lot of people sort of going through the racks, kind of like I did a few years ago, and it's kind of nice, you see people sort of still sussing out the whole thing, and maybe they'll get into it, maybe they won't, but it is a real opportunity, I think, for people who aren't necessarily collectors, aren't in the networks and that sort of thing, to sort of get their first taste of it and see whether it is something they're passionate about. So I really enjoyed that. Always do enjoy that aspect of it. Also, yeah, I saw Em just covered in jumpers. Yeah, absolutely. How many did you pick up, Aaron? Like 68, was it?
Yes, it was 68 on the day, yes. Yep, well done.
Yeah. So that was quite entertaining from afar. And yeah, the more and more people that came in the room, the more it just got really hot and I needed another bottle of water. But no, in all, I just really enjoyed the day, the atmosphere, and seeing the people come in.
Yeah.
It was very hot in there. It was crazy hot in that room.
Yeah.
I remember that. I remember at the end when Duzzle was walking around handing out bottles of water, and I'm standing there going, yes, yes.
Yeah, it was absolutely, it was love and bake in there, and it was the same the year before, and we did mention that it does get really hot in there, and probably a good idea if they put some fans or something. Didn't happen, but yeah, I mean, I stayed probably 2.5 hours, I reckon, so not all that long, but within an hour and a half, 2 hours, the place is pretty much empty. And my experience with just people watching or talking to random people was actually quite funny, because I did mention that I was recording with a lapel mic the entire time. And I did actually forget that I had it on a lot, majority of the time. So people would come up and just start talking to me, and I thought, oh, I don't know, they must know me as just being a collector or something. And I just talk back and we just talk randomly. But half the time I was like, why are these people talking to me? This is really odd. But I forgot that I'd told everyone to come up and have a chat with me for the show. So they'd have a chat and then they'd go away, and I'd be like, what the hell was that all about? And then I'd go up and have a chat with them later when I'd remembered. And I was like, oh, you know what? I totally forgot that I'd asked you to do that. So I'd go back and have another chat properly just about what they'd picked up and why they were doing it, and, you know, asking them legit podcast questions. Yeah, it was rather funny, actually. But yeah, you're right, Jack. The funny thing is, when I was asking people a lot, was I was expecting the same answer from most people. It's like, oh, what are you here to pick up? And I think I thought that most people were there to pick up the big ones. So, you know, a Fife or a Mundy, Luke Ryan or whatever like that. But the amount of times I got the answer like, oh, I'm just here to pick up an Ethan Hughes, or my son just loves footy and I just thought I'd pick him up something cheap to wear around at the footy or whatever. The amount of those times that I got answers like that, I was really quite surprised, and I thought it was really fantastic, because you don't want everyone after the same thing, because that's just going to be absolute chaos, and it could turn into a shitfest a la Port Adelaide at the moment. But I think it just worked really well, because everyone was sort of after their own thing. They were all there for their own agenda, but it wasn't chaotic, and weren't all after the same thing. So it just worked really, really well, I think. And I think what it seemed is that everyone actually got what they wanted, like what Dill said. Everyone seemed to pick up exactly what they wanted. I didn't see anybody disappointed, which was really, really good. No one got upset except for the one lady. I don't know if you guys remember. I was sitting over with Emma against the locker, and people were looking through the lockers. Now, as far as I'm concerned, if you don't want people looking through the lockers, you lock them. That's why they're called a locker. But people will open up, having a look, just enjoying what was in there. And there was a lady working for the club at the time. I've never seen her before, but she was working on the day. And she screamed out, "Stop looking through the lockers!" And the entire place went dead quiet. It was absolute silence. You could hear crickets. That was absolutely hilarious. Do you guys remember that?
I do. I was standing next to Dill at the time when she did it. So, yeah. And I think we were about to open a locker when it happened.
But I guess it's just a bit of curiosity, because it's not an area where fans and members can go in generally. So I suppose in 2019, that was the first time we'd been in there. So it was quite an experience, really. And I guess you just want to look around and see, yeah, where the players put their stuff. You know, it's yeah.
I did see on Twitter someone had snuck a photo from inside one of the lockers. I believe it was one of the young kids, the first or second year players, and it had this little thing up there that said the first the first 22 to win a premiership for Fremantle Dockers will be immortals. So, you know, the little insights into the psychology around it that you get from that sort of thing. Yeah, look, I can't see why that would be an issue, but yeah, she was very loud.
She was very loud. It was funny because like I said, I did record it. So when we went back and listened to the audio, I was like, oh, I wonder if you can hear all that happen. And you just hear it perfectly. So the whole thing, it was very, very loud in there. Like, it was extremely loud. It sounded like 60,000 stadium of football on the day. And just to be completely dead silent with her screaming at everyone was just gold. I think everyone had a really good chuckle as soon as everyone stopped, like, what the hell was that? Everyone had a really good chuckle about it. So, but yeah, like you say, it is in the locker. It's a locker room sale. So obviously everyone's in there and excited and wanted to see where the players put their stuff. And some people did leave their stuff in there. So I guess that's why they're upset. But yeah, I mean, lock the damn things if you don't want them to have a look. But everyone was going through Fife's drawers and his boots were still in there. So everyone's like, oh, we can have a look and take photos. Like, people they were being respectful. So I didn't really see a problem with it to me.
No, I didn't see an issue with it. I thought it was good that they were, you know, the lockers were there and people were able to get a snap with their favourite player's locker and open it up and have a squiz. But yeah, it was quite funny when she's just yelled it up to Dill and just gone, what was that about?
I just heard the loud noise and I'm like, what did she say?
I honestly actually thought that was part of the appeal of having it in the locker room.
Yeah.
Being able to open the lockers and that sort of thing.
Yeah, you're right. And actually, Jack, you mentioned Craig Callahan. You saw him there. So
Yeah.
I told him about the sale. So I said to him a few days before, I said, I'm going to the Fremantle Dockers player issue sale. And he's like, what the hell is that? Told him all about it. And he thought, oh, this would be really cool. I'm going to try and pick up a Walters Indigenous, as if it would just be that easy. But I told him, I was like, you're going to want to be there early. He didn't get that early. I think he got there about 10 o'clock in the end. But I saw him walking around. I went up to him and I said, oh, what are you picking up? Because I knew he had some stuff. And the funny thing is, so if those of you who remember, he was number 42 at Freo, and everything he had in his hands was number 42. I just said, mate, do you miss your playing days or something? He said, oh, this is cool stuff. Like, we didn't get anything this high quality back when I was playing. So he had Steph Jaro's jacket and everything. He's like, I'm going to be wearing this around.
I think the jackets were actually quite good value, the rain jackets.
How much were they, Dill? I don't actually remember that. About $30 were they?
Yeah, I didn't buy one this sale. I bought one the year before. What have I got? The number 17, Hugh Dixon. That I in winter I wear it all the time. It was the only one that fitted me because they were either too long or too tight. Perfect.
I bought the Aaron Sandilands one the year before,
cool.
so that definitely didn't fit, but it was oversized. I just sold it on eBay about a week ago.
Yeah, for about the same price, eh?
Yeah, maybe a little more, but yeah, not much more.
Yeah. I got lucky.
This leading to a segue for me to say, Aaron, what did M manage to grab in terms of jackets?
Okay, yeah. Well, I was just going to go straight into it, but yeah, the segue is good. Thanks, host Clint. I got lucky. I wasn't intending on getting a jacket at all, but somehow Em decided to walk past the jackets, and she came up to me afterwards and said, "Oh, I picked up a jacket. Here you go, just in case you wanted one." And I turned around and it was Nat's wife's number 7 jacket. So I was like, "Shit, did you even know you picked this up?" She said, "I had no idea." It was just a good pickup. So she did well.
The one time she jumped off a pile of eggs she was hatching and waddled off to grab something. She's nailed a Nat 5 jacket of all things.
I think she actually picked it up on the way to sitting down. So I was even more lucky, really, because I don't think she moved after that. So Dill, you mentioned you got everything you wanted on the day. If you don't mind me asking, how many did you pick up and how much did you spend?
Oh, I think there was 8 or 9 different jumpers, and then I think it was $700 or $800. I can't remember the exact. Well, not like you with the calculator. The one I did get wrong though, because there was some previous year's jumpers was the Starlight jumper.
Okay.
So I got the number 9 and I got home and was like, that's Brad Hill. So it wasn't Blake A because I did want another number 9 to give me 5 different number 9s in the collection. And I got home and was like, no, that's not 2020. So that was probably the other one where on the day I the keen eye to detail I missed a little bit.
Yeah. Good news to you, Dill. There's one coming up on auction next Saturday.
I wasn't going to mention that, but
I did get one thanks to Craig. So I got a Toby Watson one, so that was good. And I think we worked out in the end that the 2020 ones were the same as the previous years anyway, just with the top logo on them.
Yeah, that's right. So we figured out that the 2018 Starlight jumpers were reused in 2019 and then again in 2020. They did have a few, not very many, that they did make up for 2020, but there was only a handful maybe for the young boys. But yeah, they were reused from 2018 to 2020. So interesting.
It was still good to get a 2020 though, even though they are identical apart from the extra sponsor logo, I suppose.
Yeah, definitely. The extra sponsor logo just added that bit of collectability for me. Even though it's the same logo, you look at it and you think, why the hell does it have 2 of the same logo? But for me, that just adds a bit of collectability, just having that extra, even heat press. I know some teams don't like the heat press stuff, but being that we haven't had one in God knows how long, if ever, it was actually kind of nice.
Sometimes they're cool because it does have to notice if they're player worn or not. Because I suppose when they're washed, I've got a whole load that are match worn that I can't tell they're match worn. But I suppose the heat press logos do wear, especially if you rough them up or you've washed them or ironed them or whatever. You notice the wear, so that does help to determine whether they're just issued or worn.
Yeah, right. So were you surprised about the pricing at all?
I thought the pricing was really good. So I think I got a lot for my money. Yeah. And even the high-end ones were the $150 and that. So I thought they were pretty reasonable. So I think everybody got something, and you didn't really have to spend a whole lot to get items of what you needed.
Mm. And the funny thing about that is they were asking me what the value of the jumpers were, so they could obviously put a price on them on the day. And I gave them what I thought the values of them were. And when I went in, I didn't actually realize that they actually basically went with my prices minus 10%. So that was actually really cool. So I thought, they didn't price them at what the values were, but they decided to price them a little bit cheaper so everyone could afford it. So I thought that was really good of them.
I think I got a few cheapies that are actually quite good value. I think it's one you spotted, Clint. I got the Jarvis Pena white training jumper, and it had blood on it. So I know he's a zero gamer, so he's not a big name, but you could tell it was well worn, and I think it was only $30 or $40. So that was pretty sweet.
Yeah, I remember you picking that one up and showing it to me, and I'm like, wow, that is trashed.
It's the only number 47 I've got in the collection, so I was pretty happy to add that, actually.
I was actually really surprised about how many jumpers this year were actually still in their original condition. So the ones that they wore towards the end of the year, it seems that they did wash them and they weren't, they couldn't really tell unless they were ripped. Like there was a lot of jumpers there that they still had ripped collars and things like that, which I thought was excellent because the year before or the before that even, it didn't seem like there was any giveaway factors with any of the jumpers. They were just all washed and they all looked in pristine condition. So it was really hard to tell. But this year they seemed to really put an emphasis on just putting out everything. So there was a lot of match worn you could tell in that lot. So I managed to just go through and pick up everything that was dirty, ripped. And there was heaps. There was a lot of it. And especially for those young boys, like you mentioned as well, because obviously they didn't play any games, or the zero gamers, that they still had the scratch match white trainers, and a lot of them were filthy, and they would have worn those in those scratch matches. So yeah, really cool just to grab those, even if they didn't play an AFL game.
And they were some of the cheaper jumpers as well.
Yeah, crazy. Like some of them were going for $25, and I could not find a Hayden Young to save my life, and I looked everywhere for a Hayden Young because I thought he was going to be a tremendous player. I still do. And figured out eventually, after I had to buy them off other people afterwards, that they were on the $25 rack. So somebody didn't do a very good job there.
There was some crazy cheap stuff. I just, the pricing on it, the white Indigenous, seeing them at $150, that blew me away. I was going in expecting them to be around that $250 mark, and even then I thought they were cheap.
Yeah.
But then price on the rack at $150. That was stupidly cheap. And then to see a pile of, was it those ones with your name on it, Dill?
The foundation jumpers.
The foundation jumpers. Yeah, they were $25 just sitting in a pile in the middle of the floor. It was just like, what?
Because to get the retails of those with your name on them, I think they were over $200.
I think they were $175. I can't remember, but I think they were $175. For some reason, I didn't get one.
Expensive the ones with your photo on the back. I remember they were $300.
Jeez, really?
To wear white in the night. Yeah.
Wow.
You got your photo 2 centimeters by 2 centimeters on the back.
Yeah, yeah. I've got a number of those actually in player issues, so stoked with those. But no, you're right, Clint. I walked around that place for quite some time, and it was probably about 40 minutes where I just seen these jumpers that people were just picking up and throwing back, just sitting on a random cupboard in the middle of the place, just not organised or put on a rack or anything. And I thought, what the hell is that? I'll go have a look. And yeah, there was these 2017 foundation round jumpers where they played against Port, which were very collectible up until that day. Just sitting there for $20. I was like, what the hell is this?
I was just dumbfounded by it. I was, people were literally picking up and chucking them back, and I'm thinking, they mustn't be any good over there. And then I saw you going through them, and I walked up to you and said, what the hell are these? And you told me, and I ended up grabbing one. Yeah, so yeah, for $25, it was just worth grabbing and well, at the time just chucking in the locker in my collection, which ended up on eBay, starting at $25. And I think I sold it for just under $200. Yeah. So I'll break that on the podcast. That's fine. I was that guy that chucked it up at the price I paid, and it went gangbusters on eBay. It went up to, I think, $180 I ended up selling it for. So that was a good return.
Yeah, well, before that day, I'd never seen anything but a match worn. So no, I was like, wow. What's going on here? And yeah, I mean, no problem with that whatsoever. I mean, people would have a problem with people reselling things or whatever, but if you go in and pick up some stuff, why not pop it up? And if you put it up for the same price you paid it for, if people then bid on it and it doesn't go anymore, you're going to lose money. So, I mean, who gives a shit? It's worth a punt. And just well done to you, really. That's all I got to say.
Sorry, no, I saw that pile of jumpers sitting there. I saw the pricing on them and thought, they must just be sort of the leftovers, not much good in there. And started digging through, and I found they were 2016, was it, or 17, whatever it was. I found a Michael Johnson in that pile for $25. And,
wow.
I've got pretty much. Yeah, for some reason I gravitate towards defenders in my collection and never found a Johnson. So to pick that out of there for $25 was ridiculous. Yeah,
I picked up 3 myself. I got Alex Silvani, Gary Gibbertson, and Clancy Pierce. So yeah,
Oof.
3 defenders as well. There you go.
Outstanding.
I was tempted to buy another one because of the prices. It's one of those ones. It's like, do I need another one? No. Should I get another one? It's always very tempting to keep adding more.
If I didn't have 68 jumpers in my collection or in my hands on the day, I would have gone back and bought all of them. And you know I'm not lying, especially at that price.
I don't think the 68 jumpers was the reason you stopped from buying them.
Kind of was. I had no money left. So, Jack, all right. So, did you pick up everything you wanted on the day? And if you don't mind me asking, how much did you spend?
I think I dropped about $630. When you consider that one of those was a $250 jumper.
Yeah.
I bought 8 jumpers and a pair of socks. I got pretty much everything I wanted in terms of players. So I set out wanting a Young, a Henry, a Valente, a Sturt, a Chera. I got all of those, whether they were training or match ones. I picked up a Hogan as well. The only thing that I didn't find on the day was actually the Home Indigenous from this year. So that was the one I couldn't find.
Funny thing about that Home Indigenous, I only saw one on the day. I actually don't know if there was any more or not, but I should have bought it. But I seen it, and I know that Leighton Brown, another listener and another big collector, he was really after one, and he kept telling me that if I saw one and if I could pick it up for him, I'll let him know. And he actually happened to be standing right next to me at the time when I saw it, and I said, "Oh, here you go, man," and it was $50. So $50 for the Home Indigenous. I was like, holy shit! Like, there's got to be more of them, but it was the only one. So he scored quite well that time. It was an Isaiah Butters, I'll give you that, but still, the design itself is probably worth at least a couple $100, I reckon.
Yeah, pretty tightly held if they went on the racks at the sale.
What's interesting about that is I don't know where the rest of the Home Indigenous have gone, because they weren't at the sale from what I can tell. And I thought, they might be giving them to the Next Generation boys, but the Next Generation boys unveiled all theirs this week, and they were the away ones. And all they've basically done is reheat press the back sponsor logo. And they've changed it to the Stephen Hill Academy or whatever it's called now. So that's where all the away ones went. Funny thing is there's no big name players in there, so they obviously sold all those off. But yeah, God knows where the home ones have gone. Hopefully they're still in a box somewhere and they come out at some point.
We might see him on a bench in 4 years for $25 each.
That'd be the dream. That would be the dream. So let's talk about post sale now. So did you guys pick up anything post sale that maybe you didn't get on the day, and you had to chase up some lads and pay a bit extra because there's no way you're going to get it for the same price? Did anyone pick up some stuff that you didn't pick up on the day, perhaps? Dylan, how about yourself?
I was just that Toby Watson Starlight that I should have got on the day.
Is that it? That's all else? The only one else you got?
Yeah, I didn't think I got too many others. Just various bits and pieces that come up.
What about Jack? What about yourself, man?
And it's a funny one because I actually had on my list, I had Watson there, I had Frederick. I didn't get either of those guys, but that's okay because I'll still have plenty of time to get them. But the one that I really wanted that I didn't find on the day was a Ryan, mate, and I think that he might have had something to do with that.
I might have.
What did happen?
I might have, yeah. Well, you got very lucky.
What did happen was a few weeks later, you put one up on the auction page, and I decided to buy a couple of tickets in it, and sure enough, won the thing. So it came signed in gold pen, and that was the one edition. I was very happy to add that one. Best and fairest in all Australians. So yeah, very good.
I mean, he had a golden year, so it made sense, right? But all right. So the story with that jumper was we're taking over Luke Ryan's PS5 to him that he purchased from JB Hi-Fi, which I work at. And he said to me, if you've got any jumpers, I'll sign them for you. So do I have any jumpers? Well, I mean, I've got about 20 of his in the locker. I didn't take them all, though, but I did grab a whole handful, which I did buy on the day. Now, I didn't actually realize what I actually bought on the day because it was only a couple of days later. So I grabbed this handful of jumpers that I took with me and got him to sign it all. And then I realized, oh shit, I've got doubles of just about every jumper that I got of his on the day. So I think I had 3 homes, 3 aways. I had about 4 2018s. So I made a bit of a boo-boo, but I thought, everyone else kind of missed out because I think I picked up all the Ryans. So I did some lottos on the Football Guernsey Lotto page, and Jack just happened to be a winner of the Home 2020, which Luke Ryan signed in gold. So not because he had a golden season, but purely because none of us could find a pen. He didn't have a pen anywhere in his car or in his house, and I went through my car and found a bronze and a gold pen. So we went with gold. But yeah, that's the story behind that one. But at least you got one.
Absolutely.
So you found it
and
young.
on the cheap too.
He did, yes. So I think you paid what, $20 for it?
Yeah, I don't reckon I might have had 2 tickets in that lotto, but I don't think they were that expensive, to be honest.
No, I'm not an expensive lotto, mate. I'm a cheap one.
It's not expensive when you win.
Yeah, not wrong, yeah.
Yeah.
I wouldn't know.
I think
I've
I
never
went to
won
a row,
anything.
actually. Yeah, true.
They're nice to win, Jack. They're nice to win.
Love it.
How many have you won now, Clint? You've had a few?
I've had 4
4
wins from the 6 that I've entered.
Oh, that's ridiculous. I've never won a goddamn thing. Cracky. I did pick up quite a lot afterwards. So yeah, I did pick up 68 on the day, and funnily enough, well, I'll go back to Dylan, what you mentioned with the calculator. So I had M, who was my calculator. So we were basically just going through each jumper, calculating it up as we went. So I went in with $6,800, and that was all I could spend. That was literally all I had. I thought, geez, if I go over here, I'm going to be very disappointed. But so we sat there, we started calculating it up, got to the very end, and then Craig and Tony came over with the calculator, and they basically just said to me, "Oh, we're not going to bother going through it all. You tell us what it's worth, and you pay us, and we're good." So I said, "Oh, lucky for you guys, I literally just calculated it all up, and it came to exactly $6,800." Couldn't believe it. I actually went over, but that's because we counted another jumper extra. We counted an extra $150. I said, leave that on there, because if I go over, I'll get a nice surprise when I get it back. So I said to Craig, "Oh shit, I'm over $150." And then he's like, "Oh no, you're not, because we forgot about the 150 added on extra." So it worked out really nicely that it came back around. So yeah, 68 jumpers for $6,800. It worked out pretty well, $100 a pop, even though there was some really cheap jumpers there. So I must have picked up some pretty expensive ones.
It was an experience watching you go through and calculate that all.
It was exciting at the end there. I think that's the bit that was keeping me awake at the time, was sitting around waiting for to see the grand figure coming on from Aaron's pile.
Well, it's funny actually. Before I even started paying for them, I had to make a deal with the devil. So basically, I knew what I wanted to go in there and get, and Clint knew what I wanted as well, because he knew I'd want a Mundy and a Ryan. So the devil himself managed to pick them up. Hang on, sorry, M's talking to me. What's that? That's why he got there early. That's right. So
and Em didn't get me a coffee either.
No, actually, she did ask if we wanted a coffee, but it was too late by the time I answered her. So sorry about that. That was my fault. So anyway, Clint did pick up those 2 jumpers I wanted, and he held them for ransom all day long. No matter how much I kept staring at him, giving him the most evil eyes I could possibly give him, there was no way I was getting him off him. So basically, I had to pull a rabbit out of the hat, and I knew I had something he wanted. And I gave him a trade, which is something he didn't even pay for yet. I traded him a GWS 100-year Canberra Anzac jumper. So he won out of that one for sure, because he didn't even pay for these jumpers yet. And he scored off me.
I did offer to just give them to you at the price that I was going to pay before you kindly said, "Look, I can't just do that. I will give you that Canberra 100-year Jeremy Cameron jumper," which I went, "Remember that he has said that, everybody." And I will be picking that up ASAP.
I think, did you pick it up the same day, or was it next day?
Next day I was there. Well, I had to pick up that jumper to send across for young Aiden.
That's right, yep.
So Aiden, yeah.
Yep.
So, that's why I thought, well, I had to send him the jumper I picked up from the sale for him. So save you posting, I went and picked up the Fife that you'd sold him the next day. And, thought, while I'm there, I may as well grab the jumper that I got from you for my kind efforts.
No, he was right. He did offer to give it to me anyway, but I did say, look, I did appreciate him picking him up. And if he wasn't there and did grab him, I would have missed out anyway. So I was happy to hand it over. So, no, thank you again, Clint, for that one.
I think the gold Canberra jumper is probably one of my favourite GWS jumpers.
Yes, it was tremendous. I enjoyed owning it for 2 years, I believe it was.
I think that was one of the first I ever bought that I went, I really like that design. I want one.
Mm. So
yeah,
Clint,
no, they're it's a unique strip, that one.
Very, very. And being ISC, I just really love that material. I think it was the first ISC feather material year? 2013, was it?
2013 was, yeah.
Gorgeous. 2013, I don't know why, it's slightly different material to what it was last year and years prior. It's just a bit different. I think they're a bit more tapered, a bit tighter.
Yeah, they're a small jumper.
Yeah, more than ever. Yeah.
Pam just appeared in your background. It was her head just sitting there. It was quite hilarious.
Hey, what? Huh? Clint M said your shed looks really good.
It will look like yours tomorrow, apparently.
It might take a little bit for me to get to that point, but
okay.
The idea is quick as possible, so the walls and ceilings will go up, and then get me nephew in for the lighting, and then the floor guy, and then we're going to paint it. Yeah, so it's going to take a little bit, but not quite as long as you, I reckon. I'm going to have it done pretty quick.
Yeah, no, don't spend 10 years on it.
Yeah. All right, let's get back on track here. So, Clint, now that you've been to a Freo sale, have you been in contact with the GWS mob and let them know how damn good it was and how they should definitely have something similar?
I have. I've spoken with the CAO of the Giants about the Freo sale.
CAO?
I'm pretty sure it's the CAO. Or not the COO, not the CEO, but the CAO.
CAO. I'm going to have to look that one up.
Advertising?
I think it's the Chief Admin Officer or something like that.
Okay.
He basically is in charge of supporters and how, they liaise on with members and all that sort of stuff.
Mm.
And, spoke to him. Don't think much will come of it, but spoke to him, told him how good it was. Yeah, and he said, look, might be something we might think about in the future, but being where the Eastern States COVID restrictions are, I don't think it was on his mind at this current point in time.
Mm. Is it something you would like to see happen, though, even if you are living over here? Would you fly over for something like that?
I definitely would fly over for something like that. Something I'd like to see with all clubs, to be honest.
Mm.
With where collecting's going and the passionate collectors that are out there that are willing to fly across or sleep out or, get there early to make sure they get a prize piece, which is, something for the Freo collectors to really hang a feather in their cap is that, all those guys that got there super early to pick up these jumpers haven't seen daylight again. They've all been, stashed into their collections and quite, they're cherished pieces. So, those 10 guys that walked in the door, those first 10 that were pretty much in there, they've all grabbed the bits that they wanted and they're not coming back out of those collections, which is what you want to see. So you want your big collectors, to go into these sales for all their clubs and getting hold of these prize pieces. When we all know that we'll spend good money to get these jumpers, but, it's nice when we can get in there and get a bargain and get there early and camp out and have these sort of experiences as well where we pick up these pieces at dirt cheap prices.
Dylan, being a big cricket man, you're a big cricket collector. Is something like this, is this something you would like to see in all sports? So if you were to walk into the West Australian Cricket Association and say, hey, you guys need to run a sale like this, could you imagine how it would go off? Do you reckon there would be a lot of people there, or do you reckon it would take some time for people to warm up to, or do you think it'd just go absolutely insane straight up?
I think there'd be a lot of interest, straight off the bat. There seems to be more people on the Facebook groups looking for Big Bash and for state cricket gear, whereas 3-4 years ago when I started, there wasn't a lot of demand. So I think a lot of the pieces that I quite like in my collection are probably 3-4 years old now, where I wasn't fighting to get them. So I think they'd sell.
Yeah. I don't know if it's COVID or what it is, but collecting has certainly exploded in the last 12 months. And I think you even mentioned to me the other day that cricket seems to be taken off as well with the cricket Facebook pages and things like that. Everyone seems to be asking a lot more questions and wanting a lot more of the same stuff, whereas before perhaps it was a lot easier to get cricket stuff at a cheap price. Now, do you think it's just going to explode like footy is at the moment, where the prices are just going to skyrocket?
I think it'll be interesting to see what does happen. I think some of the things I bought, I think I got them for good prices, but it's hard to say when you're not sure if they're match worn, whether they're worth too much more. I think that's sometimes the hard thing with the cricket gear.
So, lads, we are going to have Craig Evans on, who was obviously one of the main factors of this sale and a good mate of ours. If you have something for him to improve future sales, is there anything you could let him know of what they perhaps should look at doing in the future to improve not only maybe the sales or just the day and the experience in general? I, for one, would say fans, at least.
Fans are a good one. Barocca at the door might be nice.
Get a coffee van there at 6 a.m.
Coffee van
please.
would actually be good.
Yeah, that would have been handy. I did find out that the cafe, I think it opened around 7-ish. So I wandered down there for a coffee. But, yeah, I think I grabbed you a bottle of water while I was there, Jack. And,
Yeah, you did too.
it was, but, yeah, coffee van would be nice. But I think the layout probably needs a bit of a tweak. It was more the lining up for people to get out once they made their purchases was probably the chaotic part of it all. So not how the jumpers were, but you've got when you're sending everybody around, and then you've got people wanting to take photos of lockers when there's a line, and that was a bit chaotic, and you've got people pretty much lining up where jumpers are, so you're unable to get in and really see what's on the racks. So that, I know that would be hard to do, but maybe even if the checkout was further down the aisle where, as opposed to being right at the door, to just get a bit more space in there for people to get around and have a look at what's there. I know it's probably nitpicking, but it would, that's probably the one thing that I would look at is how people are getting out of the place.
Funny thing is, I forgot to mention that we were there an hour and a half before the actual organisers actually rocked up. So the funny thing is that we were all standing at the door at the very back where the previous two sales line was, and then an hour and a half later, Tony Godden walks up to us and says, "Hey, you guys here for the sale?" Well, you're standing in the wrong spot. So we're like, "Hang on, what's going on?" So he said, it's moved this year. You're going to have to go stand at the very bottom of the stairs near the basketball court. So we all made the mad dash to run down to the basketball court and stay in our same format of line that we were already in. Luckily, even an hour and a half in, there was still only about 10 people that rocked up at that point. So we were all, I would say we were all pretty well organised, but then there were some people who were kind of slipping their way in by having a chat in a little group, and everyone was kind of looking at each other like, hey, don't you even think about it. But but that was an interesting one.
Well, our line actually started on the stairs before you get to the club store. So when I got there, because I had no idea where previous sales were, I just saw, I can't for the life of me remember the young bloke's name that was there at number 1. So sorry if you're listening. But yeah, so I just stood there and had a chat with him quickly. And then I remember Anton rocked up and we were standing, pretty much on those stairs up until Aaron got there and goes, "What are you guys doing? The line's around the corner. You go around the corner." So it wasn't until Aaron got there that we actually moved. And then he sent us to the wrong spot. So
yeah, I was wrong. Yeah, my bad.
But the funny thing is Craig actually saw us all around the corner probably 45 minutes before he told us that, no, you're going down here. Yeah. So, he could have given us the heads up a little bit earlier.
Yeah, I actually don't know what the idea of the move was. I think it was just for easier access. It was pretty simple access down there, so it definitely was better. But yeah, it would have been nice to know that early.
I think in previous years there was a lady in a wheelchair, wasn't there?
That's right. Yeah, you're right.
I think they had trouble getting the lift working or getting her down, because obviously she couldn't go down the steps. So maybe that was a way to make it more inclusive for everybody to get in.
That's a fair point. Did you have anything else, Steele? Any ideas that you could perhaps pass on to Craig?
No, I think it was fairly well organised. And unlike, I suppose I'm looking at second-hand info, but unlike the port sales where they did the sales and then all these other jumpers keep coming through. So that seems to be one thing Freo did right, is everything was there. And it's, the next day or week, there's not, oh, hang on, we've got another 3 batches of jumpers that you might want to have bought, but we didn't have them for sale. So I think it was fairly well organised and the pricing was good. Sometimes I think it would have been nice to been able to sort of wander around the Coburn complex a little bit more and see what we don't normally get to see as fans. Because I suppose the Coburn training centre is kind of off limits to anyone but players and staff. So that would be nice a little bit.
Suppose you can pay for a tour.
I could do, yeah.
I'm not even sure. I think Craig might still be hosting them, actually.
I think they're only during the week when I'm at work, so that's why I haven't done one.
Typical. No, actually, I do know that they were planning on having a coffee machine, or they were planning on having sausages, I believe, and some entertainment for the kids out on the Oval this year. So if they were obviously doing it in the same spot they did last year, so when you go outside, they were planning on having a DJ and a sausage sizzle and food and drink and all that, and just handing out water. But obviously COVID hit and kind of changed the plan. So all that sort of, I guess, put it all in the backlog. But yeah, it did get super hot in there. So the only thing I really would suggest for myself is, it needs to have some sort of ventilation. But I guess the only reason is because it pushes people out a bit earlier than perhaps they would have liked. Like I said, that they did seem to leave quite early. Within 2 hours or 2.5 hours, it was pretty much empty. So a lot of that was purely because it was just too damn hot. And after a while, even I was like, I've had enough, I got to go. Even though I was keen to stay for a while, I just couldn't handle the heat much longer.
It was pretty much done and dusted by, was it 11 o'clock? We were all out the door. So, and it was skeleton in there. By the time we'd got to that 11 o'clock mark, it was chaos between pretty much 9 and 10:30, and then was it 9 or was it 8 o'clock we went in? I can't remember.
9 o'clock, yeah.
9 o'clock. So yeah, that first hour and a half was just chaotic, and then it just dropped right off. From that point, it really just, it was very much a bang, here it is, and see you later. Yeah, sort of a thing. It would have been nice, in I know the COVID makes it hard, but similar to what the Port Adelaide guys got with the little bits outside, where a bit of a fan day as well, when they come out and get some, get a whole new experience as they leave.
Yeah. So the idea, obviously, is to make as much money for the club as they possibly can. And we will hear from shortly from Craig, who will let us know how successful it was. I believe at this point in time, I believe it was the most successful one they've actually had. I think just the idea is keeping people in there for as long as possible, whether that's air conditioning or cooling or handing out stuff, ice creams, things like that. I don't know exactly how they plan on doing it, but yeah, just some more entertainment and making it more of a fan day than just selling off some merchandise will probably help that. But I can't say I wouldn't care for me, because I'll be there with the wallet full next year as well, but probably not as much as this year. But I said that the last 2 years, so we'll see what happens. Jack, did you have anything for the lads at Freo? Maybe can perhaps put input into the club and see what they can do differently next year.
It's mostly praise, to be honest. I always really enjoy going along to these sorts of events and actually feeling like you're part of the club. So having it in the locker room is really cool. Definitely the heat thing is something that they'll probably have to think about, but I'm sure they already have. I don't know what workarounds there are for that sort of thing. And outside of that, look, there's really nothing off the top of my head. I think they do a fantastic job. I think they have for the last few years. And especially having all the jumpers on the shelves, the last thing you want as a collector would be walking into the sale, lining up, not finding what you wanted, and then 2 months later they're in the team store because they weren't organised and the box was, sitting somewhere else. So
yeah,
I feel for anyone that would be in that boat, but I feel like Fremantle does a really good job of making sure that doesn't happen.
Yeah. And you're right, both yourself and Dylan have brought that up, and I can confirm because I went back to the club multiple times after the sale actually happened, and I probably picked up, I would say, another 30 jumpers after that. So, and I can confirm that the jumpers that were at the team store were all the same jumpers that were left behind. So, yes, praise to them that they didn't chuck out any more a la Port Adelaide jumpers, and I guess kind of feel ripped off if that had happened. So, no, they did a really good job of that, and what was there, and you had the best opportunity to get on the day. So, can't praise them anymore for that. Sorry, Dill, go for it, mate.
I was going to say the only thing that was difficult was interstate fans trying to accommodate them, or trying to look after them, I should say.
Yeah.
Because that's always difficult.
It is, and it's something that I think they'll have to just keep trying to come up with an idea. I think Gold Coast, their idea was fantastic. Whereas after the sale ended, so they did have to wait till the sale ended, however, but once the sale ended, they put up all the jumpers that they had left over on their website, on their team store website, and they had the numbers that was available, all the different designs, and people could just go through and buy them from that. I tried to do something similar this year when I told Craigo that I could do that for him, basically go in and catalogue all the jumpers for him, and they could do what they pleased. What they decided to do was basically just anyone who emailed through asking what jumpers were left over, they would just send that spreadsheet off to them and go from there, basically. But so hopefully they can work it out where they can put up the jumpers online and people can just go through and purchase whatever's left over from there. Unfortunately, I don't think they're going to be able to come up with any sort of way where interstaters can get on the sale on live time, I guess, in real time, because it's just there's no way it could work. Sadly, if you really want in, I guess you're just going to have to fly over if that's even possible next year. Never know.
I guess the only other way is some sort of lottery type thing like Port did, but that didn't prove very popular with their collectors.
Yeah. No, I did jump on that lotto, and for an interstater who doesn't support the club, I think it was a really good idea. I'm just purely a collector. I thought, I'll jump on this because it's something that seemed like a lot of fun. It was really cool, but I wasn't invested because I didn't want anything specific. But I think as someone who wanted something specific, so for instance, if the sale was over East and I was over here and I wanted to get all these Ryans and Mundies and Sarongs, I'd be Devo if I did a lotto and I picked up Toby Watson, I guess. Not a bad player, but yeah, on the bottom of your list of wants, I guess, I'd be quite Devo with that. And then someone who perhaps doesn't support the same club picks up a Fife, that would just be kind of devastating. So it's a hard one.
I think the tiers they did with the jumpers seem to be not quite as good as they should be. So if you paid $500, you weren't always guaranteed to get a top line player. There seemed to be a whole range.
Yeah, that second one they did, I think that was messed up. That was completely out of whack, where $500 jumpers were sometimes not as good as the $150 ones. So I don't know what the hell the thought was there.
But that depends on, who's grading them as to, you need to really go after, your top line sort of collector to do that grading for you, rather than someone in the team store going, this is what I think it should be worth. Because, from Port Adelaide, for example, you need to go after someone like an Anthony Lynch and say, Lynchy, we need you here to actually grade this if we're going to do this tier thing, because he's probably the one to go to, for that sort of a guide, to say, right, well, this has got to be your top tier, this has got to be your second tier, sort of a breakdown. Because, I believe there was some training jumpers in that top tier, and I for one, if I was a collector paying $500 and I ended up with a training jumper, I'd be right filthy. Mm-hmm. And in saying that, with your interstaters going to these sales, again, for them to be able to access the same things as the guys that are dedicated and prepared to get in the line at 5:30, and or what will eventuate into a sleep out. It will happen.
It will. I almost did it the first year.
Yeah, I think it's going to happen. It's it's already getting earlier and earlier. So it's at what point does it become, I'm just going to get there the day before and camp out?
God damn, it's going to be next year now.
It's going to be soon. But yeah, I mean, when that happens, you'd be pretty annoyed if you walked in the door and you saw that, your Nat 5 Indigenous disappear off the shelf because some interstaters got in with an early bid sort of thing. I'd be pretty filthy. So, as much as I'm an interstate supporter of a club that I collect, I for one, if I needed to be there, I'd be flying across. I wouldn't be expecting special treatment, if I wasn't there in the line.
Yeah, 100%. And I would do the same thing if it was interstate and I knew that was I know it's coming up. Even now, I know it's coming, so I'd already start preparing for that, and I'd start preparing for flying over. COVID forbid, but no matter what, it wouldn't keep me from being there. I mean, I'm certainly not rich by any stretch. I just happen to know when things are coming, 9-10 months in advance. I know next year's sale's coming, so I'm already starting to prepare for that. So no matter what, I would be there. I wouldn't miss it. So it's what it is. I hope it's not on my wedding day this year. No, I got a late wedding, so even if it is, I'll be there in the morning. Don't worry.
Just have your wedding at Coven.
It's already organised, and that was a thought.
He'll have his bucks deal at the jumper sale.
Yeah, there is no doubt that even if my wedding is the same day as the sale, I will be there at the sale in the morning. I'm glad it's a 4:30 afternoon wedding, but I would push it back if that was the case.
If you've got a stretch limo...
Emma's heard that.
I think the stretch limo would be just right to put all the jumpers in, enough room to store them.
Good point, actually. It might need that space, yeah. I'll just take them all with me to the wedding.
Could you imagine Em sitting there getting her wedding prep done, guarding jumpers? That'd be quite hilarious.
That would make a great story, though. All right, lads. Well, I think we're pretty much across everything now, I reckon. Appreciate you all joining me. Jack, I don't know, you're frozen again on me, so I don't know if you're there or not. But Jack, I appreciate you joining me. Pity you're not wearing the Ansat hat. You are wearing a Freo hat, though, so you're a good bloke. You do look like... what's his name from Pirates of the Caribbean? You do look like him a little bit. What's his name? Buddy. Jack Sparrow. Yeah, thank you, Emma. So thank you, Jack Sparrow. Thank you for joining us. Dylan, always lovely to see you in that fantastic beard. So thank you for joining me.
Well, thanks for inviting me.
Clint, you're a resident favourite GWS supporter, so thank you for joining us and thank you for coming to the sale and helping us all out. You're a true gentleman and a scholar. Can't wait to have you all around for a beer and to check out the Man Cave when it's finished next week, hopefully. And
it was my absolute pleasure to be on, and I look forward to seeing this newly developed shed of yours. I'm a bit excited for you, to be honest. I love me man caves, as you know. So he's coming after you, Lynchy. It's going to rival you, I reckon.
Yeah, I probably talked it up a bit too much, to be honest.
I was going to say thanks to Clint for organising our collectors meet before Christmas as well. It's a shame you couldn't be there, Aaron.
Yeah, I can't actually remember what happened that night. I can't remember.
Christmas lights happened. Aaron.
Christmas lights, that's right. Yeah, I actually injured my back as well, so I was actually watching Emma do all the Christmas lights. Yeah, I wasn't allowed to leave. All right, we'll have to organise another meet as well. Jack, once your internet sorted yourself back out again, you can come back and join us. But cheers, lads. I appreciate you all coming on. And yeah.
Thanks, mate.
Cheers, lads.
Catch you later.
All right. Thank you to Jack, Dylan, and Gregory.
What's Gregory and Gregory?
For the great interview. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed listening back to it. I hope you guys enjoyed it as well. We'll have to get the lads on individually at some point. Obviously, Clint has been on episode 5. He managed to remind me. We'll have to get Dylan back. He's got a great collection. He collects not only footy, but he's collecting a lot of other things as well. So cricket, as well as a lot of other knick-knacks. So we'll have to get him on for a bit of a chat because he's an interesting fella. Gotta love Dylan. He's a great bloke. He's got a great beard. So we'll definitely have to get him back around. And Jack, if he can stay sober or awake for more than an hour, then we can probably get him on for a bit of a chat as well. But all interesting blokes, great lads. Really excited to have that chat with them. So yeah, really happy that it did happen. And hopefully you guys all enjoyed it as well. At some point, we're going to get Craig Evans back in as well. We've had him on for a couple of episodes about this time last year, actually. But we're going to get him back in and hear the thoughts of the Fremantle Football Club on how they believe the sale went as well. Because always good to get Craig on. He's also a fantastic bloke, good mate of mine as well. And obviously hearing directly from the football club is always a very good thing to do. Now, the cool thing is, whoever the next interview is that we manage to do in studio will actually be in the new studio. So it is done. I've talked about it on the previous episodes. I've talked about it on the auction, where the new cave, or the man cave as people would call it, but I'm now just going to call it the cave, shorten it a little bit because man cave just sounds a little bit silly. But it's all done, completely finished, apart from the projector screen going up on the wall. So we'll have a 120-inch projector on the wall, and the projector going up on the ceiling. Other than that, it's all complete. Still waiting on one more cabinet to come, but that's nice and quick and easy job. Take me about 10 minutes, but I have 3 cabinets full of my jumpers at the moment, and they're actually all in there, so it's great. I'll be able to space it out a little bit. You can thank Anthony Lynch from episode 3 for the idea for that one, and a few other blokes have followed along as well. So if you haven't seen, jump on the Player Issue Podcast Facebook page. I will chuck up a photo of the completed room at some point. I might even do a video, as Andy Munro has asked a few times if we can please do that. I'll probably do that. I'll chuck up a video. We'll do a video tour of the new cave with the museum. That's what I'm going to call it from now on. So I've basically got one big room, but it's split almost in half. So one half of it is going to be the theatre. So obviously we'll have the projector screen on it with the footy is going to be on a nice 120-inch screen and a couple of leather recliners right in the middle. So it's going to be really comfy. You've got a really good air conditioner all installed by my nephew as well. So everything's coming up gravy at the moment. And on the other half is the museum. So all my jumpers are there. Well, I'm calling it the museum because I have 15 jumpers left to go. Well, 16 at the moment, but I will have 15 soon. I have a very special one coming. Thank you to Brett Attrell for hooking me up here. Another special one coming very soon, which will get me down to 15 required of 100 jumpers that Freo have ever worn. So once that is done, then the museum, as I will call it, is complete. And anybody who would like to come and see the Fremantle Dockers complete history can do so. If you want to come over to my place and have a squizzy, then you're welcome to do so. I do have other things. Obviously, I do have other teams for the AFL, and I do have a lot of Perth Wildcats jerseys as well, and a lot of knickknacks and other pieces as well. So the studio is set up here against the wall. You can probably hear there is a little bit of echo. That's because the room is quite acoustic, and it has quite high ceilings for a shed, basically, is what it was. So I do have to get some soundproofing on the walls. I don't want to do all the walls because the walls are actually quite nicely painted, but I do want to put some sound deadening in the corners. So the acoustic foam will go in the corners, and that'll help the echo a little bit, and actually will make the sound a lot better because it is rather acoustic. All the sound goes directly up into the ceiling, and it's quite cool. And hopefully it's not too bad. I did listen back to the Open as that was also recorded in here, and it didn't sound too bad for the echo. So hopefully it's not, and hopefully I'm not hearing things. So as of this moment, all the new shows, the new interviews, the new auctions, whatever we do will be done in this cave. So really excited to bring out some more content and lots more content for you guys, and hopefully get a player or two in the studio as well very, very soon. We are definitely talking to a couple. Just got to organise a good time. So very exciting things to come. As a matter of fact, I'd like to talk a little bit about what we do have coming up as far as what we're hoping to get. We do have a few more clubs that we would like to talk to collectors from. Those clubs being Geelong, Gold Coast, North Melbourne, St Kilda, Sydney and the Western Bulldogs. I do have a North Melbourne one lined up soon enough when he can get into the studio. We're doing it in studio, which will be great, and he's a great collector, so I'm looking forward to that. We have actually talked to a Western Bulldogs employee, and that is Jaden Shea, of course, and that was a fantastic interview. But I would also like to talk to a Western Bulldogs collector, we would like to get a real good insight on the Western Bulldogs collecting. So if you are a collector of any of those clubs, or you know somebody who collects those clubs, let us know. We'd love to hear from you. We'd like to just have all clubs completely taken care of. We're not trying to show any favoritism. It's purely up to you guys who we actually have on the show, really, because without you, we have no show. So if you'd like to be on or know someone who'd like to be on, please contact us on the Player Issue Podcast Facebook page. We'd love to have a chat. Also on that, I would love to have a chat with a female collector. I've said it a couple of times previously. I know you ladies are definitely out there. I know you are definitely listening to the show as well. So please don't be shy. Come on to the show. If you'd like to do Skype interview, Zoom, whatever, or even if you'd like to come into the studio and do it here face to face, don't be shy. Don't bite. But I know I would love to chat to you, and definitely some people out there would love to hear from you. No doubt there's lots of you ladies out there who'd love to show up the men with some of your collections. So, yeah, please do. We'd love to hear from you. So get in contact with us on the page and let's get you in and get you on an episode. You don't have to be from any of those clubs. Any club will do. We'd love to just hear your perspective on collecting as in a female's perspective. So please do let us know. The next interview we have coming up, hopefully he still goes ahead, but he's a little bit shy, I guess, or nervous, or not sure that he has enough to talk about, but no doubt he definitely does. His Instagram certainly says that he has plenty to talk about. He's a famous TikToker now, so we'll have to get him on the show, but we're going to have to probably book a date with him because he is a very busy man. But no, we'll get him on. We'll definitely have to give him a couple of nudges, but I reckon there's a couple of blokes out there who are doing the nudging for me, so I reckon we can get him on the show as soon as we can. Hopefully it'll be our next interview. So, mate, you know who you are. Make sure you send me a message and let's get it going. Let's get you on the show. All right, before we wrap it up today, we'll talk about what we usually talk about, and that's what I've seen a little bit on eBay, Instagram, or wherever. Things seem to have calmed down a little bit with the amount of things that are going up for sale or auction and the pricing that they do certainly go up for. It was absolutely mental over the last 12 months. It has seemingly slowed a little, but I wouldn't say a lot. There was a Michael Voss training jumper that went for $400. There was a couple of GWS 2013s, one for $110, another one for $90, and $103.50 for a Devon Smith. So probably the best one a lot was mid-range price, $103.50, good price for a good player. A Fremantle Dockers 2002 player issue shorts. I know it's weird that I'm mentioning the shorts, right? But they went for $155. So if you got some old shorts out there, no matter what club, chuck them up. You never know, they could be worth $150. There was an incredible jumper that I had quite a few people tagging me in, making sure that I was aware of it. I was aware of it, but I love to have the people tagging me in things because if I'm not aware of something, then it's actually wonderful to see all these people letting me know, because if I miss out on something that I'm really keen on, then I'll be devastated. But it seems that you guys won't let me miss out. So I really, really appreciate everyone tagging me in things that they see that I might be interested in. So please don't stop doing so. This one was a 1990 Nicky Winmar player issue, potentially match worn state jumper, so the state of origin jumper, and it was a beauty. When it came up, I think I said it would probably go for around $1,500, and that's exactly what it hit, $1,500. So amazing jumper, absolutely gorgeous, obviously tremendous player. If you are the winner of that jumper, let me know. I would love to know who won it. I'm not going to try and bite off you, but would just love to know who actually ended up winning it. There was an Adam Cooney Western Bulldogs jumper go for $150. There was a couple of Hawks jumpers go up. Now, the first one of note was a 1997 pre-season jumper. Belonged to Tony Woods, and it went for $440. So good amount there. There's a few of these pre-season things popping up lately. I don't know where they keep coming from, but hopefully they keep coming out because they are gorgeous. Some of these pre-season designs, even the diamond, which people didn't like, but it's one of those cult things that people are going to look back and think, oh, I wish I had one of those because they're kind of cool. So that one went for $440. Fantastic jumper and a really good price. Whoever sold it obviously be very happy. Whoever won it, even more so. Now, the trend of people buying things and then not paying for them is certainly continuing, and it's really frustrating. I've pretty much stopped selling things on eBay now for bidding anyway, because it's just impossible to try and get people to pay for their stuff. Or there's a lot of people out there with zero bids who just want to stuff everyone around. And I've no idea why. I don't really know what you get out of it, but whatever. And it just continued to ruin things. There was quite a few jumpers I saw sell and then get relisted and then sell and then relisted and so on and so on. And it's just not fun to watch, and it's just frustrating. What is the point? You're ruining everyone's life for 5 seconds worth of entertainment for yourself. So get a grip. Anyway, moving on. I think I've mentioned that a few times now. There was a Fremantle Dockers 25-year match worn Reese Conker. Now, these 25-year jumpers are super rare because obviously there was only about 42 of them made, or 44 of them made, because only the set for the team that played on round 1 of 2019. So 25-year jumper. It was really cool. Replaced the chevrons with the 25-year logo. Looks super cool. And that one sold for $81, which mental because they're going to go for a lot more in future. So if you have a chance to get a hands on one, I would definitely do so. Also, a pair of 2019 Freo match worn shorts went for $57. A couple more I'll mention. One that just sold probably 2 or 3 hours ago now, which I was actually watching, but I was too busy recording all this stuff that I actually forgot about the end of it. The 2006 Quentin Lynch West Coast Eagles away jumper. So the tri-panel away jumper. And it went for $305. So a lot of people out there are willing to pay good dollars for West Coast Eagles jumpers, but seemingly some slip through the cracks. $305, I would think, especially for a premiership year, is really not a lot of money. So really good jumper there. Whoever picked it up would be super happy. Sorry, I mentioned it's a away jumper. It's not. It's the home jumper. Very high potential that if it was an away jumper, so the same jumper they wore in the grand final, it probably would have gone for a bit more money, but who knows at the moment. Things are a little bit odd with what things are priced at. And that brings us to the 1996 Hawthorn Hawks Brad Scott player issue jumper. Now, this one was very interesting. Another one that people were sending me links and showing me, and I thought, yeah, this is just going to be really interesting to watch. And it was very interesting to watch. Now, the bidding clearly there were a lot of people bidding on it that weren't ever going to pay for it. And that makes me nervous to actually buy on eBay because, I don't really know what's real as far as bids goes anymore. So unless it's something I'm comfortable paying, I just find it really hard to bid for something on eBay anymore. It went up to 1,900 and dropped down to 1,000 and back up and then down, and it was a bit of a cluster to watch. However, it did blow out. It ended up finishing at $3,133. Damn is right. I was incredibly surprised about that. I think about $2,000 potentially, but wow, it just exploded. So I have a feeling I know who may have won the jumper. If you did, then we all know that you are a very big connoisseur of 1996 stuff. So obviously it's something you really wanted. So congratulations if you did in fact win it. Hopefully you didn't have to give up too much stuff to get it. But please do share with us as soon as you do get it. No doubt you will, because we're all very excited to see it. So congratulations, whoever it was that won it. Well done. There's a few really good jumpers on eBay at the moment as well. One is from a guest that we just had, episode 22, Rob Lee, a Nigel Smart Adelaide Crows jumper. Now, I don't know how this is still here. It's $650. It is all best offer, so you get a chance of putting an offer in and see how you go. But my God, like Nigel Smart stuff doesn't come up very often. It is signed all over the front, so some people do get thrown off by that. But it's still a Nigel Smart player issue. It looks amazing. It's a fantastic jumper. So if you haven't seen it, you really need to get on there and have a look. Obviously, Rob being the premier collector in Australia, that is the bloke you want to buy off as well. So jump on that because you're going to get yourself an amazing jumper. No doubt it's going to be worth even more in the future. So do not miss out. Another great jumper on auction right now on eBay is a 1998 Shane Crawford Allies State of Origin match-worn jumper. Comes with a COA as well. And that one's actually being sold by a former AFL player's son. So I don't know if that gives you any extra want to buy it, but he's a really good bloke as well. I've had him around my house a couple of times and we've had a chat. I think the first time he came around, we had a chat for about 4 hours. We were just standing in the middle of my kitchen and we literally talked for about 4 hours. So he came around again and he saw the empty cave as it was before, a week before it got started on. So I have to get him around and we'll hopefully get him on for a chat because he's a great chat. He's got a lot of story, so really good bloke. But anyway, buy his jumper. 1998 Shane Crawford Allies jumper, State of Origin, match worn with COA. It is bidding. There's 5 days left and it currently has $850 on it. Jump on and have a look at that one for sure. It's also a 2020 Hoops jumper from the Port Adelaide Power. These hoops jumpers are really cool. They're going to be rare in the future as well. They didn't get worn, so eventually there will be one of those Colt jumpers as well, I reckon. So this one's Tobin Cox's, and it's starting at $220. There is a 2012 Isaac Smith Hawthorn Hawks Grand Final jumper. It is unworn. They kept all their match worns as far as we're aware. So all the ones that got sold at auction after the game were all spares, we believe. It's currently sitting at $256, and it has 5 days left on the auction. And Rob Lee also has another jumper up for auction right now. It's the Matthew Lloyd 1998 player issue jumper, signed by Lloydie as well. They actually released 10 of these jumpers as a limited edition by the club in 1998. They were originally framed, and they were said to be match worn, but there was no COAs came with them, so they're currently listed as player issue. So even a player issue Matthew Lloyd from 1998 for $800, you're getting a bargain. He also does have best offer on it. So you might as well try your hand at it and see how you go, because it's not going to be easy to find any 90s Matthew Lloyd jumpers, I can tell you that much. So get on it if you don't already have one. I know I've sent it to a bloke who does already have one, but he would have jumped on it if he didn't. So don't miss out. If you're after a Lloydie, that is what you want to get. And we'll quickly just cover off what I bought in the last 4 weeks since the last episode before we call it a day. I picked up about 7 or 8 jumpers, so not bad in a month's time. I think I used to be a lot more crazy than that, but even with me calming it down a bit, still 7 or 8 jumpers is pretty good. I've got a 2010 Cam Hitchcock player issue Port Adelaide jumper. Got that one for an absolute steal. I think it had been up at a couple of times at different prices, just kept dropping, and I don't understand how the Port Adelaide fans, being so crazy, didn't actually jump on it. I think I got it for about $80, so I'm absolutely stoked with that one. So thank you very much to the seller. I believe it was Jesse, but I can't remember. Apologies if it wasn't, but thank you very much for selling me that one. I also picked up a 2009 Roger Hayden round 1 player issue sign jumper. Round 1 being the Purple Haze day, the Purple Haze round. It is my very first Roger Hayden, so I was absolutely stoked to pick that up. Roger Hayden, I think, was a very underrated defender and a great bloke as well, and he's also at the club as a assistant coach as well. Then I also picked up a 2015 Andrew Mackie player issue. Would have been worn, might not have been worn, but it was worn in one game against the North Melbourne Kangaroos in round 15, that particular design. So if he did wear it, that'd be great. And again, I got it for an absolute steal, so thank you again. I also picked up a 2010-2011 Perth Heat. Now, Perth Heat being baseball, but I was a big fan of the Perth Heat baseball team when I was a kid. My parents and I used to go and watch the games. Remember the big American baseball players coming over and playing for us, like Greg Jelks, and just some incredible to watch. Some of these players were amazing. So to be able to pick up one of their jerseys or player issued worn jerseys is something I've always wanted to do. And it's not from that long ago. It is 2010-2011, which is the first season of the Australian Baseball League, which is now currently known as. And they did actually win the championship that year as well. So it does have a bit of significance, being the first year and the first year they actually won the ABL. Very good team, the Perth Heat. And I actually haven't got out to the new park to watch any of the games. So I need to do that, because I do enjoy watching some baseball. It does get boring at times, but no, I do enjoy the night out. So we'll have to get over there and have a look. Also picked up from the Sports Gear Australia, they did a little lotto or a little raffle lotto, whatever you want to call it, but it was really cool, a lucky dip type thing. Paid $100 and it went into, I guess you can call the premium GWS lotto. Had some really good jumpers and really good players in there, and my jumper that I ended up scoring out of that was a 2019 preseason ACT player issue, Brent Daniels. So there were some great jumpers in there. Brent Daniels probably not being on the higher end of that scale, but still not a bad jumper at all. The colours of the X-Blaze jumpers, I'm going to really miss them actually, because they're really good. However, they have gone to Puma, and the colours on Puma have always been really good. So really excited to see the new design that they have. It sort of looks like a training jumper, but I'm really getting used to it really quickly, and I think it looks really, really good. So I really can't wait to see it out on field. So thank you very much again to Sports Gear Australia for that one. It is a gorgeous jumper, very, very small. He's a little bloke, so really cool jumper. Thank you for that. Then also picked up a 2005 Scott Thornton away jumper, another Freo one. Really cool design, the tri-panel with the green, the purple, and the red tri-panel, with the anchor, of course, in the middle and a white Bank West sponsor on the front and back. Quite a rare jumper. It's actually the second one I've picked up. Funny enough, this is number 22, and I also had number 21, Heath Black. So stoked to pick that one up as well. Thank you to Matthew Anderson for messaging me and letting me know that was available. I really appreciate that, and I'm stoked to pick it up. So thank you very much for that one. And the last one is from another listener. So Charlie, thank you for this one. 2020 Michael Walters long sleeve player issue. Clash jumper, obviously unworn because it was long sleeve. Michael doesn't wear long sleeves. Not anymore. I think he did originally, or early days he might have worn some. But obviously this one being a unworn player issue, still absolutely gorgeous. And of course, Michael Walters being a tremendous player, has been for quite some time now. Always good to add some Michael Walters into the collection, even I've got quite a few, but always happy to add some more for sure. So thank you to Charlie for organising a trade with me. So really good trade. I was stoked to have it. And I did actually pick up another jumper. I'm just trying to work out who it belongs to, but it's one of the the Waffle WA State jumpers. The design on that, obviously with the black swan on the gold jumper, is just insanely good looking. It's a beautiful jumper, and I think it popped up on eBay for about $38, and I had to have it, so I jumped on it as soon as I saw it. So really happy to have that one, of course. As soon as I figure out whose it is, or who it belonged to, I will chuck up on the page, or on my AFL Guernsey collection page. If you're not already on there, jump on and give it a like and follow all my new jumpers that I do pick up, because I do put them on there, so you can follow it all you like. You can even send me some messages if you have any jumpers that you would like to sell, or if there's any that suit your fancy. You never know. I might sell you one if you're lucky, but not a lot of them are for sale, but you can try your hand if you like, no problem in asking. Last thing I picked up that I'll mention is a James Ennis basketball jersey. So James Ennis played for the Perth Wildcats over here. When was that? It was a few years ago now. They won the championship that year. He probably should have won the MVP. I think definitely should have won the MVP, but he didn't. He averaged about 26 points a game, 27 points a game.
Wrong.
He lit the league on fire, and he was pretty much the first NBA-ready talent to come over before he started his NBA career, and that obviously started a massive uptake in the sending players over to get a year of professional basketball before they went back to the NBA. So a bit of a trailblazer there. And yeah, he lit it up, and I've always wanted to get a Perth Wildcats James Ennis game-worn jersey, but unfortunately I haven't been able to find one. No doubt they'll be going quite expensive when I do find one, but I was able to finally pick up one off the Basketball Game-Worn Jerseys Facebook page, which is the same one that Rob Lee is on, that all his collection is on. And some gentleman had this up for sale, and I was just lucky enough to be able to get it and organise with Dave Causey, another former guest of the show. He has a family member over in America, was able to get it delivered to him and then deliver it to me in Australia. So, yeah, thank you very much, Dave Causey, and, of course, a family member, Dave Arnold, I believe. I'm absolutely stoked to have you help me out, and I really appreciate it, because I wouldn't have been able to get it, unfortunately. The guy did not want to send it to Australia. I guess he just didn't want to go missing, but it actually didn't take too long. Once it was on the way, it only took about 2 weeks. So, yeah, awesome. So, James Ennis, Philadelphia 76ers jersey, game worn. I didn't even know it was game worn, but until I received it. And then it had a COA who told me all the games that he wore the particular jersey in. So, yeah, really cool. That's the really good thing about NBA jerseys, is they happen to authenticate them really well. I do have the serial number on the jersey, which will then correlate to the particular games that they wore it in, which is super cool. Or this one just came with a COA, which told me of all the games that he wore it. So NBA certainly does it really well, and I'd like to see the same thing done in Australia with AFL. So hopefully we can continue on a path where the collecting is such a big thing that they will actually eventually work it out that that's something that will help them make a lot more money out of the jumpers that they can sell. So fingers crossed, and keep an eye out for that. That is going to do it for today's show. Thank you for listening again. Thank you to all my guests that I had on for today's interview. I can't wait to talk to you about tomorrow's or today's venture with the live auction that we're going to do, and of course the potential of another live auction. So keep an ear out for that. Make sure you're watching the live draw for the Carlton Blues jumper, and have a great week collecting, and hope you score a big one.